Hi, AskAnRTC here, and in this video, we're going to be going over this video that was posted by the NATO YouTube channel, and I'm going to have a link to the video that we're going over here in the description below. But it's 24 hours on the USS Ross, DDG-71, a ship that I've been on. So the person that goes through kind of goes over things blandly, go over more detail, some of the stuff that we are allowed to talk about on the ship, and some things that are more interesting. Obviously, I'm not going to be recording videos myself. This is just one that got approved. You can't just go around recording everywhere on a ship and then posting it online. There's rules to that. But this one got approved and posted by NATO. So this will be very interesting. Destroyers and cruisers are the two ships that I go on. So I know a lot about it. And I was stationed on this ship as well. So it'll be pretty fun to go through. But I'm going to be skipping over all the extra things that they go over through that are kind of more for the audience. And this one is I'm going to go over more detail what it's like on a ship.
The USS Ross was deployed to European waters for 8 years. From its home port in Rota, Spain, the Ross would regularly sail with NATO allies during exercises, and as part of standing NATO Maritime Group 1, charged with patrolling the southern seas. As a guided missile
Right, so here, this is the pilot house, or the bridge, if you will. This is where we drive the ship. We have a couple of radar stations up here. Communications goes on up here. So physically driving this ship here, you can see is actually just someone who's just a seaman. You know, they don't have a collar device. It's not an actual officer physically driving the ship, and it is just like that, a little steering wheel. They have indicators in front of them. Obviously, the windows outside as well. In charge of actually driving the ship would be, obviously the captain overall is in charge. But you have what's called officer of the deck, which would then be a junior officer, would then make the basic decisions of navigation. Like there might be a waypoint we go, and then they will just make the decisions and how we get there safely and correctly. Following, there's like rules of the roads, like traffic rules as well, when you're out at sea.
destroyer, the Ross boasts a powerful arsenal and advanced sensors which make it an asset for NATO's maritime forces. At more than 150 meters long,
Right, so this is probably a scene anchor operation. You can see everyone is already standing outside. Here you got your 5-inch, you got VLS, and then here's your anchor chain. And these are usually on the forecastle is mostly just bosun's mates because they have like the dangerous part of the evolution, which is you'll have some places require you to drop anchor, which is like the anchor is just hanging off the ship while it's going instead of being pulled up tight to it, just in case in an emergency we need to drop anchor right away and stop ourselves. So that's a dangerous evolution. Being up front is a dangerous evolution. So they'll have the more experienced and qualified people up in the front. And then you saw earlier in the video some people handling line. You'll have boatswain's mate back there too, but it's mainly going to be made up with the rest of the crew, where there'll be like a weapons line and a combat systems line or a supply line, or it's just people that are qualified in line handling outside of boatswain's mate to do it, because there's not going to be enough boatswain's mates to handle all the lines. And they're going to be doing more than just handling line as well. They're a big part of navigation along with the QMs and OSs.
the Ross is home to roughly 280 sailors.
So home to roughly 280 sailors. It depends ship to ship. It might be 320. It might be 250. It just depends what your manning is. 280, that's pretty average for it. But this is a pretty good look from the backside of it. You got your CRAM here, FCS limiters. This is the smokestacks. You got different radar systems all around here, IFF going around here and everything like that. But yeah, the ship is definitely loaded out as well. And it's all angular, as you can see here. And this makes it so that when radar comes and hits it, it'll be trying to bounce off a different direction instead of it being circular, which will give some sort of radar return. So that's why they're designed as well, to help with minimize radar signature or whatever being on surface search radars.
For them, this is their home, their office, their gym, and their
So going back here for a second, just looking at the basics of what that gym would look like. And every ship has their gym set up a little bit differently, right? So you can see here, you just have the basics. Sometimes you'll have like the pulley systems going on, bikes, everything's very cramped. It's usually in whatever space you can get free. For cruisers, for us, on my cruiser, we had these giant, we call them fan rooms, and it's a room where the fans are pumping AC through the space, but they're pretty open, and so we set up gyms in there. This one is near the weapons locker, up forward, and it's gonna be very cramped. But you learn to work out around people or with you, and usually just have headphones on, something just kind of keep you focused on your just getting your workout in. And then there's no gym hours; it's 24 hours. But you still have to have courtesy. For example, this is right above a berthing, so it's you can't be dropping weights or anything like that or stomping around. So you just got to be courteous when it comes to that, and also courteous around the people around you. But yeah, you'll see people in the gym all the time, all hours, unless there's like a whole ship evolution going on where all hands have to participate. But yeah, just get it in while you can, kind of a situation. It helps with de-stressing, and also you're on a ship, and most of your job is going to be sitting, so you're gonna kind of want to make sure you don't get out of weight standards.
and their dining quarters.
So here's the mess decks. Here you can see it's not really that big. This one is looks from the port side looking forward. So if they turn the camera to the right, there's going to be another row of tables with benches. It's not enough to sit the whole ship at once. That is what it is you go through the mess line, you pick up your food, sit down, eat. When you're done eating, you pick up after yourself, drop off your trays for the scullery where they clean all the dishes and trays and utensils and cups, and you move on, and which leaves space for the next group to come through. It's just a constant rotating thing during the meal hours. Usually, you see people eating first as they have the next watch, and then people who eat last are the people who just got off watch. It's a rotation kind of a thing. But yeah, the mess decks are not big enough for you to see the entire ship all at once. Maybe about 20 to 25% at a time, and even then, full mess decks is pretty crowded. Just trying to navigate through, but you get good at it.
This is my first.
Right here you can see there's a hatch behind her, and then there's a hatch that she's going through as well, these doors. It's a double security so that you can have a decontamination station if we're ever in an environment where there be they use some sort of nerve agent or gas or chemical, biological or radiological environment. What we could do is anytime that we need to decontaminate, we can go through this, and then there's a third door as well, or hatch is what it's called, where you can go through the stations. It helps keep the air purified and clean, and then also you can decontaminate before you go fully into the ship. So it's for self-defense.
Time on a US Navy ship. Because this is unknown territory for me, I wanted to start with a tour.
So as you can see,
So she's about to start talking about how cramped it is and everything like that. And yeah, this is very true. Especially on smaller ships, I feel like they're a little bit smaller. And that's the thing you do right there. You see how they're pulling their body to the side? That's because the person leading, and they probably got briefed when they told the camera person was here. But the sailor is leading the civilian onto board to do a tour. And they got out of the way because there's an officer coming, or a khaki belt, if you will. So that's normal. It's common courtesy. You get out of the way of a higher ranking person so they can go by. Unless you're obviously in an emergency, then everyone needs to get out of your way. Especially when it comes to the captain. The captain's in the room, except for certain spaces. You say attention on deck, and you gangway or clear the way, if you will. And that way they can come in, enter. It's acknowledging the presence of the captain or the commanding officer. But yeah, that's common courtesy right there. Just trying to get out of the way. If someone's carrying something heavy, get out of their way. Very tight spaces when it comes to stuff like this. Another thing you can see is like everything is external. There's no like drywall settings where everything would be behind, right? We have this whole space right here before the wall continues on. It's not like they put things through drywall. Everything has to be external because if there's any damage to the ship or anything that has to be performed maintenance on, and it needs to be exposed so we can get to it quickly and fix the problem. So yeah, just be careful of that. Tall myself, so I usually find myself hunching over as I walk through the ship just because I don't want to bang my head on things.
super polite.
So what they're about to go through now is called the ship store. This is run by RSs, supplied by LSs, and you're going to find the basics of things in here. Of course, you can still find command things like command ball caps. You're given one when you come aboard, but you can buy an extra one. All the other ones you get after you get damaged along the way, you buy. You can buy tobacco supplies. They have little odds and ends and stuff like that. And as they start circling around, you can see they have snacks. If you want to get snacks and stuff like that, you can see over here they have laundry detergents, extra socks, shirts, skivvies, razors, toothbrushes, soap, stuff like that. But yeah, so the ship store isn't supposed to be something you live off of. It's supposed to be more so of to help you fulfill anything that you might be missing. So yes, there's barbershops on ships. Most ships, from our understandings, every ship actually has a barbershop, unless it's a small boat or craft. But ships will have barbershops, and they're free. So not the best. You're not going to get a crazy haircut through them. They're trained to just give the basic Navy standard haircut if necessary. But I don't mind doing it. I do it all the time. Helps save money. They're here about to talk about the galley. The galley is the kitchen, if you will. It's where everything is cooked. It's prepared by the CSs, the culinary specialists. So anytime they're in there, they have to wear these white caps that you're about to see them put on, and it's just for sanitation purposes. She still doesn't have her hair correctly for it. Still down on the sides, but she probably didn't walk too much around the food. But yeah, these guys and girls work all day, all night underway. They're crazy hours. They're always busy providing food and meals for 280 sailors, 3 meals a day, which could be 900 meals. Sometimes 4 meals a day. If it's underway, we have what's called mid rats at midnight. It gets us more food for anyone that maybe works like a night shift kind of a situation. Usually they kind of save the food from dinner leftovers, but they also cook extra food as well. But everything is prepared in here for everyone. So sometimes, yeah, you don't get like the best food all the time, just because they're limited in what they can do with what they have. But you will get 3 meals a day regardless. As you see here now, walking around, this is nighttime. So it's called red lights. When the sun sets is when they set red lights. Red lights don't go as far in the visual spectra of light, and the red lights go the least amount of distance. I think green goes the farthest, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's red so that you also helps preserve your night vision if in case the lights go out and you need to be able to see. But yeah, so it's so that light, when it escapes the ship at night, you can't see it from the distance. It's anything just to help with that. Also helps with people who are trying to sleep or move around at night. But yeah, when the sun goes down, red lights on. When the sun comes up, red lights off. Here they're going to start talking. She's in an officer's cabin right now. This isn't a normal enlisted cabin. There's lots of other people who post videos of people in enlisted cabins. I'm not going to post a video like that. That's a huge invasion of privacy, ask me. But this is probably an extra cabin set aside for those who are doing the recording for them. And
Not called a bed, it's a rack.
yeah, she's talking about how it's a rack, not a bed, which is true. And you have these straps here, and this is so that in rough seas you don't fall out. Definitely have used them before. You always put them up, whether in rough seas or not. It's just kind of a standard operating procedure. It's a safety thing. You never know, in the middle of the night you might hit some rogue wave and it just hits you. Been in some pretty rough seas when it comes to destroyers or cruisers. Since they're so small, they react to them pretty well. To the fact that they rock back and forth, so you're gonna need them. But these are not normal racks. As you can see here, this is just a flat bunk with a mattress on top. What you'll see normally is more like you see in the boot camp videos is a coffin rack, which means you can lift up the rack and underneath is like a laid out locker, if you will, just things in there. Cheeseburgers are kind of similar to this as well. That usually don't have too many coffin racks. Oh, you can see the bottom one's a coffin rack, but the middle one and the top one is not. Oh, okay, so that's a big no. Don't get in your clean rack with your day clothes. That's a huge, and she's wearing shoes while she stepped up on that other one. That's terrible as well. That's just poor berthing etiquette, because you're going to be stepping on someone else's rack, so you got to have that mutual respect for the person that you're going to be very close quarters with. Definitely don't be loud at night or in the morning. Don't get in your rack with your day clothes, with your you're not even allowed to sleep in your uniform. So that's just it's triggering for me to see her do that. She's trying to be silly for the video, but still, you don't do what she's doing. They didn't even show her taking off her shoes.
Yes. I hope so.
As you can see, it's like she's not a large person. You can still see she's pretty cramped in there as well. I'm pretty tall. I'm about 6'1" too, but I still make it work. It's not too bad. Here we have a bosun's mate sounding off the whistle, probably sounding off some sort of thing like the CEO's about to make an announcement or it's chow time, whatever it is. Do it over the 1MC. So what they're talking about is they dropped off we call it the killer tomato. You drop it off to the in the ocean and you just shoot at it. It's just target practice in the ocean is all it is.
It was interesting to see USS Ross working together with.
The USS Ross runs like a well-oiled.
So here they're about to talk something that I like talking about a lot. Everyone in the Navy, especially on a ship, is a firefighter. Doesn't matter. It's not just damage control men or engineers. Everyone's a firefighter. Of course, you're going to have the specialists like damage controlman, like DC1 here. He's obviously a specialist when it comes to that, but everyone still participates, either fire team, fire hose, scene leader, investigator, doesn't matter. They're all going to be working together because you're not going to call the fire department in the middle of the ocean. You're going to be the one that has to fight that fire. So here they just have like a smoke machine going off. We do everything we can to simulate training as much as possible. She's about to go over here, all the things you have to wear. So she's not wearing it, but you would have to wear your coveralls, which are fire retardant coveralls. Then you had to put this fire suit on. Then you had to put the flash hood. Then you had to put on the SCBA. Then the boots. Then the mask. Then the helmet. Then the gloves. Like, you're wearing a lot of stuff. It's a full firefighting outfit. But it could be really hot. It could be cumbersome to move around, and on top of that, you're in a very small ship. And on top of that, if there's anything goes off, you have about 5 minutes for your full team to be dressed out and ready to go, so you can go fight the fire. So not only is it a lot to put on, hard to move around, but it's difficult to do in a very short amount of time. So that's going to cover it for this video, going over the things that they showed here, and it's going a little more in depth of a tour of a ship. There's a couple of videos out there as well that goes a little more in depth that I'm going to go over here in a little bit, and also going to still keep up with the things to help you prepare for boot camp, and more importantly, what to do when you first check in on to your first command, whether it be your sea command or a shore command, just to make sure that things you should look out for to make sure you're set up for success, especially if you're single or married. Just make sure that you're taking care of you and your family. Hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Hoo-yah, Navy.